Okay, so now we're recording as well as broadcasting. So we're going to watch a little bit of a Moist Critical video in a little bit. First, I want to discuss Elon Musk and his impersonation gaming. So we're going to bring over my browser. As you can see, there's nothing, naughty on it except for the fact that I have like Reddit porn links over there, but that's neither here nor there. I'll cover those up. There we go. So this is documenting the saga of Elon Musk's account. This post was created 3 days ago, but I didn't have good video capture capabilities 3 days ago. But Moist Critical posted a video, and I'm going to shamelessly plagiarize his content with my apologies. But here's the thing. Here's the suspicious instances. And there's a reason why I have the gameplay in the background, which I'll be showing in a minute, of Path of Exile. So he's fighting this boss. The it's a map version of a campaign boss. Now he's using the same build that I will be showcasing later, but his is much more heavily geared because he's got the obscene wealth to pay people to pay his account. There's my phone. Okay. Sorry, I had to make sure it wasn't my wife texting me. But, so, this is him fighting the boss. He clearly ran out of mana. And he's just basic attacking without using a mana flask. Now I'm going to minimize this real quick and show you the game. So, in the 10 seconds he was out of mana, when the lightning strikes, that's 5 attacks on my character, and I do 5 attacks a second, as you can see. Now, in his case, that would be something like 70 attacks in 10 seconds. Because he's got better stats, and he's got, the 80 Divine Amulet and so on and so forth that I don't have. So, again, that was 1 second of Tempest Flurry. So doing that for 10 seconds would be a huge DPS rate, especially if you drop the bell. Now, I don't have a target to hit to drop the bell, but that's not the point. So, we're going to see if I can drain my mana real quick. I might have too much mana regen. I think I do. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to come over here. We're going to talk to Doriani. We're going to refund all of my mana regeneration passives, which I don't think I actually have any. I think it's just because I have that much intelligence. Yeah, I think it's just because I have a butt pile of intelligence. But, let's see. I bet you We're gonna... Now, we're gonna turn my map off as well. I normally do that when I'm exploring areas I haven't been to before. Actually, I think there is one way I can do this faster. We're going to come over to the stash. Going to cut us a gem. The highest I have is level 15. So that's 40 mana, 30 mana. We're gonna cut a Gathering Storm because it's 40 mana per second. So we're gonna take this, and this is a horrible waste of a level 15 gem, but whatever. We're gonna put our Gathering Storm where the bell is. Huh, it's not draining my mana at all. I have too much mana regen. Well, either way, I think I can... We're going to swap characters here to more highlight this. We'll go with the Storm Strike. Because this one I know I can make run out of mana. So we're gonna make myself run out of mana real quick by putting myself in the storm, which is gonna drain my mana. As you can see, my mana is going down. Now when it runs out, if you look up here on the character... Oh, my storm ran out. If you look up above the character's head, when she runs out of mana... I have way too much mana regen on all of my characters because I hate running out of mana. You saw that little blue spark there? She's going to have a blue spark above her head. That little cloud indicates that she's out of mana, or that little blue spark. Now, when that blue spark indicates, anytime you cast a skill that you don't have the mana for, it says out of mana. Elon Musk was doing that for a solid 10 seconds. We're going to switch back to my staff build because that was more to illustrate the point of his gear. But, so, as I was saying, let's pull up. As you can see, he's fully out of mana. He's got the blue cloud every time he tries to attack. He's just not using his mana flask at all. That indicates that he's not actually playing the game. So let's close that YouTube video. Now, his gear, again, to illustrate the point, I'm going to pull up my inventory. We're going to put the bell back on. So this is a simple 1 Exalt staff. It's the very super cheap version of the staff he's running, because he's running a Howa build. Howa being short for Hand of Wisdom and Action. He has legitimately a max rolled version of this staff with 3 sockets and with a much better set of enchantments on it than I have. He has a 80 Divine amulet, which is known as the Astramentus. We're going to go ahead and pull up the PoE2 trade. going to say Astromentis Stellar Amulet. So it's actually close to a mirror now. It's 110 divine orbs. 130, 138. It's getting more expensive as it goes on, because it's just got an exceedingly low drop rate. But the important part of it is this one. Plus 98 to all attributes. Now what that does is with your Pillar of the Caged God, that means you have much bigger AoE, much faster attack speed, and much higher base damage. Now the other thing he has is Hand of Wisdom in action, Furtive Wraps. Which these go for 80 exalts. They're not super expensive, but if you get like the better rolled ones, they can get progressively more expensive. And Divine Orbs are the rarest currency besides Mirror of Kalandra. Mirror of Kalandra is the single rarest currency because it allows you to duplicate any item. Now for the other part, we're going to do this one preemptively because I'm here. If I were to go to my map device, so this is the node I last attempted. I failed it because, you know, I sucked, but I was also running a much higher map tier than I'm currently capable of running. But so the green nodes are ones where I've cleared. The blue nodes are ones that are connected and I can attempt. The grayed out white ones I can't do anything with because I need to clear adjacent maps next to them. So for example, I could try to run a burial bog if I had a waystone, which I do have waystones that I just don't want to actually run this game right now because I'm fed up with it. But so we go over to my storage. As you can see, I have waystones. I can run them. Now what he did, we're going to pull up the YouTube video here. He's trying to run that 4-connected node thing. He's trying to click on it. He can't because he doesn't understand that it's not actually connected.
So what I'm doing here is just boosting my shield before battle by meditation. So a little meditation before battle is always good.
That's not what meditation actually does, but that's not important. The important part was he can't run the map because he doesn't know what he's doing. Now for the fun part. We're gonna pull the game up again real quick just to illustrate the point. I have 18 wisdom scrolls here, or 28 wisdom scrolls. It's gonna go to Act 3, any area. It doesn't really matter. Again, because I don't want to open a map. Let's go to Agorat in the past. Taking its dear sweet time to load, but nothing I can really do about that. Oh, we'll see. We have people in chat talking about Elon Musk being a fake-ass gamer. Now, to illustrate the point of what he did, we're going to drop our 28 wisdom scrolls. Now, ordinarily, when you pick up stuff, you just click it, and it goes to the nearest available spot that it can fit in your inventory. What he was doing is he was running with his inventory open and doing this. So, not this, which is easy, but this, which is much more time consuming. Now to further illustrate the point, we're going to kill these guys real quick. That gives me some power charges. I can activate my staff and just, go through and blow apart some people until one of them drops a big item. I'm running with no loot filter on because I'm very early into maps. Like, it's not even like impressive where I'm at in maps. It's the opposite of impressive, for lack of a better word. Well, we're gonna pick up the support gems because why not? Now what he did is he would do this instead of this. So as you can see, it winds up in the same place if, I do this versus this. It still puts it in the nearest available spot. I don't particularly want these because obviously I don't need them. And now the chat audio is bugged because that's what happens when you go to Lagorat in the past. It's a thing. We don't know why, but it is. Same thing with the ornate belt here. As you can see, it just takes up 2 slots. It prioritizes top left towards bottom right. And he's sitting here doing, click and drag. Which is terrible. We're going to go back to the hideout. And now my game audio is going to be bugged and not do any sound effects or anything until I restart it, but that's fine. Alright, so let's see what he was doing versus what I said he was doing. Click and drag. Click and drag. All right. Now let's. Now he doesn't understand why he cannot pick up an item when his inventory is full. My inventory is not full. I could make it full, but we're not going to do that. See, he can't pick it up. Can't pick it up. Can't pick it up. He's like, oh, I gotta drop my white crossbow that I was carrying for some reason. Now let's go back to the game. I'm going to show you real quick. So I'm going to pull up my dump tab, which is my number 10. This is just shit that I've picked up that I haven't identified or that I haven't gone through to actually read the mods on. This is just all rare shit that I have to eventually go through. The exception of this is that I'm saving this for a lower level character. But so, as you can see, I have no divine orbs. So, your divine orb is, that's a chance orb, this one. And that goes with the Mirror of Calandra. So literally we have transmute, which is the most common, augment, which is next most, alchemy, which is semi-rare but not really rare, regal orbs, which you can get by disenchanting, which is why I have 19 of them, chaos orbs, which are fairly rare, vol orbs, which are fairly rare, exalts, which are fairly common, but I bought gear so I don't have many on me, divine orb, mirror, orb of scouring, which is not in the game yet, and then chance orbs, which allow you to change a normal item to a unique on a rare chance. So if I were to say, we're just going to randomly click and fill up my inventory here. Take the rings too. That should be in the currency tab. I don't know why it's not. Belt, chest, or hat. So now I can't take a hat or anything. I have 6 inventory slots left, but they're in weird shapes. I'd have to manually rearrange the inventory if I wanted. We're also going to put the glacial rune back in the currency tab. So he's running with a completely full inventory, and he's like, I can't pick up the waystone I want. Yes, the next part. This is the funny part. So, each individual map has little symbols on them. This one is for Mirror of Delirium, which you can tell if you click over it. And then we have the Wildwood. I can't click on it because I can't do anything with it. We have Beyond. We have Ritual and Wildwood. We have Expedition, Ritual, and Beyond, that's probably going to be a pretty OP one. Oh, sorry, it's not Wildwood, it's Deadly Map Boss. That's my own fault. Deadly Map Bosses are fairly rare. Now, if we come back all the way up here, we have Breach. We have Ritual. Click this one. We have Expedition. We have... it's Corrupted, not Beyond. But either way, you get the point. This is where he misassociates in-map events as being deadly instead of...
Okay, this is pretty much as hard as it gets.
He's saying four things are as hard as it gets. Those 4 things, here, let's full screen it so I can see it better, are Breach, which, granted, Breach can be hard, but not if you're being a Howl boy, which he is. Expedition, Corrupted, and I don't know what this one is. I've never encountered that one yet.
16 Waystone.
The part that's going to make that hard is he's using a rare Waystone. When Waystones are magic or plus, they have mods that affect monsters and also item drops. So let's just go over to my Waystone tab. So I have this rare Waystone here. If I ID it, so magic pack sizes are bigger. There's more magic packs. There's more rares. Monsters are more accurate, and monsters dodge. So all of that makes this map harder. What does not make the map inherently harder are Expedition, Corrupted, Ritual, Breach, etc., etc. reminds me, I need to clear that tower. So let's de-minimize that. Close it. So he's going to showcase his staff here. And his staff is basically mirror tier.
Alright.
He thinks his staff is bad because it requires level 62. But it has top tier physical damage stats. It adds flat fizz. It adds accuracy. It's got plus 27% to critical hit chance, plus 40% to critical damage, and plus 20% attack speed. If we go back to our trade website, so we're going to say we want a staff. I believe it's technically a quarterstaff. We want increased physical damage. Let's just do 170%. We want minimum 20 physical damage to attacks. Number of percent increased critical hit chance. Number of percent increased critical damage. And we'll do attack speed. Okay, let's take off the attack speed. Okay, let's just leave it on critical hit chance. So it's so rare that so far I haven't found anything. With just those two, it's still really rare. So with just a Fizz mod, which is fairly common, but let's do... Let's do any two-handed melee. Physical damage to attacks. Was his to attacks or was it just general? Oh, it was just general. Okay, so let's take that off and do just general physical damage. Adds number to number physical damage, minimum 20. That may be why I was having so much trouble. So let's do critical hit chance. Critical damage bonus. We're going to do just those. I'm not even worried about attack speed. Just those 4 mods with those 2 minimums. So yeah, his staff is so rare that there's not even anything listed on the market at the moment. And he's complaining that it's only that it requires level 62.
So you can see, like, this is a great staff, but it's only a level, 62 staff. Like, it's actually very hard to get equipment in hardcore. So,
Yeah, you're full of shit. Thank you for tuning in to the new viewer. We're going over why Elon Musk is a giant fraud gamer. this one was, which one did I just click? So he thinks that his Hand of Wisdom in action could be higher than 52.
Yeah, level 52 here, level 56, level 70. So it's like equipment's not like it's actually.
Also, a 3 charm belt is minimum a divine. That's ridiculous. So that's just the basics. Now we're gonna defer to Mr. Moist Critical here.
I was going to wait a little bit longer before fully diving in on this, but I've talked about it on stream, tickling the subject here and there, with Elon Musk's weirdest lie so far about being a Path of Exile 2 top player. For as long as I can remember, Elon has always touted himself as basically a gaming god, where anytime he picks up the sticks...
This was the same with his Diablo 4 account. His Diablo 4 account was literally nothing special. And all of his gear was basically bought from other players for real world money. We know this because people have said as much. Like, we have receipts from RMT traders who were like, yeah, no, he paid for that.
He becomes one of the best to ever do it. And he's been trying that with Path of Exile 2, puffing out his chest, popping his collar, letting people know that he has one of the top characters in the game. Which he does, except it's very clear from the live stream he did, it's not actually his character. He has one or a team of people that actually pilot this character, and they just give him permission to go on the account to flex it. It's not...
And that is against the terms of service and is a bannable offense. And account sharing in general, unless you're doing couch co-op, is against the rules and can get you IP banned.
A hurricane machine conspiracy theory. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt true that Elon Musk does not play this game. His account that he showed is definitely not played by him. And it's very clear through the live stream, which we'll go through in a moment, because Quinn made a great video breaking it all down to show just how...
Quinn is a Path of Exile, like, really famous live streamer, does, like, cosplays for League launches, and is, you know, just in generally a really fun guy to watch.
How obvious it is.
So let's start off with some context.
This is Quinn. He's from New Zealand.
Elon Musk's character is currently level 97, aka rank 12 on hardcore. That's permanent.
So, like he's about to say, hardcore means if your character dies, it's gone. It's deleted. There's no getting it back. All of its gear, poof. Anything that's in the stash is safe, but basically anything that you're using that is like valuable that's on your character it's deleted with your character. Now he's playing an Invoker Monk for more attack speed. I'm playing a Gemling Legionnaire because I'm doing a stat stacker build. His character's name is Perseverance. He had another character who died in hardcore whose name was Kekius Maximus. So, you know, he has 3 characters.
Currently, what is their highest ranked player? They're level 97, same as Elon Musk. So, I mean, he effectively has been playing, pretty much just doing nothing except playing Path of Exile. So let's just go over some of the things that happened.
The reason I wanted to wait a little longer
Before we get into that, to get to level 97 takes like 300 hours. I'm going to pull up my Path of Exile 2 and back out of my map device here. My character is currently level 72. Now, aside from the fact that I have it AFKing in the hideout right now, my slash played, just to get to level 72, is 44 hours, 18 minutes. And I'd say probably 30 minutes of that is just right now AFKing in the hideout for doing this video. Because I've been streaming for 35 minutes and recording for 34 minutes.
Diving into the spaghetti and meatballs of this is because I wanted to see Elon's response to it, because I know he's seen it. He is more addicted to social media than an Overwatch gooner. He is glued to this shit 24/7, so I am confident.
Don't look up Overwatch on Rule 34.
He is well aware that the entire gaming community is privy to his fraudulent claims of being one of the top Path of Exile players, and I just wanted to see how he would tackle that. Because his responses are always glorious. It's always the most cringe shit imaginable. Where he posts like an AI photo of himself as Iron Man. I am Irony Man. You call yourself the Joker.
Alright, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. I skipped like 30 seconds of the video.
Clownish.
And he opens up his bank and he goes to a tab called Elon's Maps, which immediately is a little bit of a red flag because I don't know why you would refer to yourself in third person, but okay, he does that. He then proceeds.
Case in point, I by no means like a pro. I would say I'm like a in between a casual and a sweat gamer, but I just have just a dump tab of maps. Now in Path of Exile 1, I just have a map tab that's just literally called Maps. Now most pro gamers also just have a tab called Maps because it's just a map tab. It's what it is.
To walk up to his map device and go to put a map in. The literal first thing you learn upon getting to the end game is how to operate this map device. You're going to start off at a node, and then from that node you can go to adjacent connected maps. Now, Elon, he's trying to click.
Oh, he's trying to do the map that's not in the chain.
He's just clicking a map repeatedly, trying to access.
So he could do this map, he could do this map, he could do that map, or that map, or technically that map. But he can't do the breach, corrupted, expedition, whatever the green thing is, map.
He was not eligible to enter that map.
I just want you guys to understand, this is one of the highest level hardcore characters in the game. He would have played thousands of maps at this point.
I don't know how many of you have ever subjected yourself to the torture of trying to watch an Elon Musk stream, but they are agonizing when he tries to stream.
That's because he tries to showboat, but he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Also, I'm not going to try to obfuscate his sponsors or anything, because if I'm stealing his content, I should at least put his sponsors out there. So that is his Gamer Subs flavor. It's called Goof Juice. So I don't know what it tastes like, but there you go.
30 minutes of actual nothing burgers where he will sit there AFK and all you get is just background noise. The banging of pans sounds like shit falling over. It's like listening to Legos exploding. And then he'll occasionally talk, and he's still doing nothing, and then maybe he'll do briefly one map. Watching Snoop Dogg stream when he left and just left it running for a day was more entertaining than trying to sit through an Elon Musk Twitter stream. They're fucking brutal. So Quinn, go.
All right, I'm gonna skip you again.
On it, expecting something different to happen. It's fucking grayed out, goofball. You clearly can't go there yet, but he doesn't understand it.
Anyone who's level 97 is. And we're talking.
So you start maps around level 64, 65. If he's level 97, that means he should have been doing hundreds, if not thousands, of maps.
One of the most efficient players in the game, period. There is no way you would do that. Why just sitting there like some sort of geriatric old man, clicking this node, expecting someone.
Also, Jung Ron is the guy who has, I think, the number 4 ranked hardcore character, by the way.
Happen, and then he finally kind of gives up after a while, and then realizes his mistake. We then get a look at his inventory. So Elon Musk is stuck.
And here's the other thing. So these are called omens. These two things when a specific requirement is met. There's one that guarantees the max number of sockets rolled. There's one that guarantees that if you use a different orb that something happens. There's one that if you drop below 25% life, it heals you, etc., etc. They do things, is the point. You don't normally carry them in your inventory because there's a risk they get accidentally used up. But also, he has a blue club, a white crossbow. I don't know what this mace is or what the chest or helmet are because we don't see him use them, but yeah.
Going into the map with full bags. If you're an efficient player, you're going to clear a map, you're going to loot the valuable items,
And you're gonna sell the trash, keep the good stuff, salvage the bad stuff. Everyone knows that. It's not just being an efficient player, it's just being a player in general. Elon...
Not just a player of PoE, a player of any video game. If you can salvage something out of a bad thing, you will do it. If you can't, you vendor it. And if you look at it and it's good, you keep it. Like I have a chess piece in my dump tab that I'm keeping for a lower level minion alt that I'm going to build because it's got like 40 spirit on it, which is great for minion builds.
Elon Musk goes into it with a full inventory. You don't have to be a Path of Exile player to know that that's pretty stupid. If you're playing a game that revolves around getting loot, why would you go in...
Alright, we're going to skip ahead a little bit again.
Top accounts in the whole fucking hardcore space. How odd.
So what I'm doing here is just boosting my shield before battle by meditation. Meditation before battle is always good.
And he starts killing monsters. He starts obliterating monsters with his character. But what becomes obviously apparent...
So, as I showcased earlier, he's using a charge staff, which is what enables it to shoot at range. But he's ignoring the Chaos Orb, which is a fairly rare currency, because it's not highlighted on the default loot filter.
Chaos Orb, no loot filter.
Is like, no, he's just running past Chaos Orbs! He just ran past the Chaos Orb!
Chaos Orbs are one of the most
As he's about to say.
important currencies, and they're also really rare. I have about 140 exalts. I have like 9 Chaos Orbs, just so you guys understand.
This fucking goober doesn't even have the wherewithal to loot one of the most valuable currencies in the game with a Chaos Orb. So I'm 30 hours deep. I've seen one. I've seen one in 30 hours.
So, Charlie here, whose YouTube name is Moist Critical, also known as Penguin Zero, just started PoE, I think, like last week. He's only played like 30 hours because he does a bunch of other shit. Plus, he's like, quintessential Florida man. He like has to do stuff outside, so that's all cool and whatnot. But yeah, he's got 30 hours, and even he knows the value of a Chaos Orb.
And he just runs right by it. He doesn't know the game at all. The only thing he loots are completely meaningless waystones. They're not fully meaningless, but for where he's at in the game, it's not what you'd be prioritizing for loot. But the reason he's clicking the waystones is because those are what's highlighted. Meanwhile...
And they will show an example of this in just a moment.
Chaos Orb wasn't highlighted, so in Elon Musk's little, caveman brain, not shiny, not need. So he just ignores it. He doesn't know the game.
It's unfathomable for someone to be in the top ranks without loot filter. Yet Elon Musk, the god gamer, he doesn't play with a loot filter. The only thing
The reason why they say that is because to get more experience, you have to add more monster packs, which means more loot drops, which means more trash drops, which means the ground is completely littered in items. And if you don't have a loot filter that distinguishes based on base type, currency type, or other, that your whole screen is going to be cluttered.
Elon does pick up maps because the default in-game loot filter highlights those things are worthless. The actual items of value that he should be picking up, that he would have had to pick up in order to get the gear, leave it on the ground. He gets to the boss, he's fighting the boss, and I would say for about 10 seconds, he sits there and he's out of mana. Mana is a resource in this game.
Alright, so when his ability goes gray, it's because he's out of mana. As you can see, it's shadowed, but also there's a visual cue on the character
where you need it in order to use your abilities. He just sits there, default attacking the boss without activating his mana flask. Anyone who's played the game and understands the character would understand, oh, I'm not doing any damage because I'm out of mana.
There's no explanation for him being bad at this character at this level. If he was...
Your character will literally have a blue circle with spikes coming out of it saying, hey, I don't have enough mind power to do the ability you want me to do. There's a visual cue on your character that tells you you're out of mana. Your character will also verbalize, hey, I'm out of mana. There's no reason to do it for more than 10 seconds.
The one that has been piloting it this whole journey, he would have mastered it. And what Quinn is pointing out is that he clearly hasn't. You can tell from his gameplay. When he's fighting this boss here, he is out of mana for an inexcusably long period of time. In Path of Exile 2, if you go out of mana, if you play League of Legends, you can immediately pop a mana flask and get it back to continue optimizing your DPS. He doesn't do that.
That's not 100% accurate. It does take time to refill your mana, and each flask when you use it will indicate on your mana orb or your mana bar how much of it it's going to fill. But the point with that is it will instantly fill up to your highest cost ability when you use a flask if there is enough cost or enough mana charge to fill up that high. So, for example, on my charged staff build, my highest mana cost ability is my Tempest Rush, which is only like 30 mana cost. So when I use a flask, it instantly fills up 30 mana and then charges 30 mana more every second, because that's just the way my flask is rolled. But even on a basic, completely unrolled flask, it spikes your regen up high enough that you can just keep spamming your abilities while it's active.
His character is juiced out the wazoo, so he's able to get away with being so dog shit. But the fact that he doesn't pop his mana flask for like 10 seconds is crazy to me. And anybody who plays the game. It's not him being some kind of chess master galaxy braining this where he's being frugal with his mana.
Well, and that's the other thing. That boss was so close to dead that if he had not been out of mana, you would have killed it 2 seconds into that 10 seconds if he had popped his mana flask.
Actually, I made a calculation that it would be suboptimal if I popped one of my fucking 20 mana flasks at this moment, because you wouldn't understand. I'm one of the top players in the game. I'm thinking well 5 steps ahead of you. It's just him just being bad. It's him being bad at this character, because it's not really his character. Whoever...
Which, again, is against terms of service, also known as TOS, and is very bad. It can get you banned. Do not violate TOS.
Whoever is piloting this account behind the scenes and boosting it lets Elon go on and do these really easy maps where even when he's super shit, he can get away with being bad and not be punished for it.
He then goes on to loot items off the ground. He starts dragging them into his bag. Like, I don't even know how to describe to you how painful that is.
So, again, you saw him just drop that Great Hammer, which was blue. In the clip we showed earlier, he also dropped the crossbow, which was white, which there's no reason to be carrying a white crossbow. You pick it up if you need gold to vendor. Now, his character has 12,153,000 gold. He doesn't need to be carrying that. Now, maybe if you had, like, another character you wanted to try to gamble crafting on, you might pick up a high-level white base for chances of really good rolls, but that's not what's happening here. He also has a completely worthless extra life flask. I don't know, because it doesn't have the visual cue like it does in Path of Exile 1, I can't tell if his amulet is rare. But he also has a lesser jeweler's orb, which if he's level 97, he doesn't need to be holding on to. And these are breach fragments. They should be put in your stash. The fact that they are not in his stash indicates that he's not actually properly playing his character.
Is to anyone who actually plays the game, and his bags are full and he just keeps clicking it over and over and over again. Nobody, not even people who are kind of noobs at the game, do this. I don't even think Elon Musk has done the campaign, honestly.
I also don't think he's finished the campaign.
And you see how he just threw away that white. We're gonna go back. Gator. Come on, change over. I'm going back frame by frame because it... Okay. So you see, it is a white crossbow. It's white. There's no reason to be carrying that unless he wants to use it for crafting.
Honestly.
I also don't think he's finished the campaign, and I'm going to go a step further. I don't think he has ever really played an ARPG to a high level at all, including...
He's about to lay out the claim about Diablo 4 here. Because I think it was either League 4 or League 3. League 3 or 4 of Diablo 4, Elon Musk claimed to be like the top necromancer player, which was just bullshit.
Diablo. Nobody, I mean actually nobody, is going to drag their loot into their bag once they spend any amount of hours in Path of Exile or Diablo or anything. No one's going to be...
Exactly. It auto goes into your inventory into the nearest available slot. Now, sometimes you do have to like rearrange your inventory because you have the slots, but it's just out of shape because you have a bunch of individual currency. So like, we're gonna pull up my stash again real quick just because. So like, let's say I had, you know, this for whatever reason arranged like, you know, like this. Well, if I want to pick up a 4-slot item, the 4-slot will go here. But if I need to pick up a 6-slot item, I need to move this out of the way. If I need to pick up a 3-slot vertical item, I move this out of the way, etc., etc. So when you auto pick up something, I can't drop anything in my stash because it'll be destroyed, but that was the point of earlier in the video. When you auto pick up something, it just goes into the first available set of slots that fit the requirements. And that's the microtransaction shop. That's not what I meant to hit. I hit K instead of I. But so it prioritizes top left in this row, then this row, then this row, and so on and so forth until you eventually get to the bottom one. Alright, back to the video.
doing that. That is a mistake that only your grandpappy would make if you sat him down to play this game, where you just slowly drag in the loot. Nobody fucking does that. So I really question the authenticity of his claims of being one of the top Diablo players through his own sheer blood, sweat, tears, and elbow grease and cum. I think something similar has been happening for him on Diablo, where he has people behind the scenes playing the game for him, and then he...
A lot of video games.
You think about like StarCraft, any game where a lot of people are playing. To rise to the top, you have to be exceptional, period, as a human being.
Yeah.
There has to be something exceptional about you.
Yeah.
Are you in the top 20 in the world, or the top 20 wow, in Diablo?
Yeah.
So he likes to brag, but all of his gear was bought. All of his playstyle was meant to be a simple one-click, two-click thing for him. He doesn't even understand how to use mana. Same thing in Diablo.
A ton of people are calling this into question now after watching the Path of Exile stream, because those are transferable skills. If you're really good at Diablo, you should at least be pretty good at Path of Exile. And he's just not. And he
Exactly. Diablo 4, which also is a dodge roll game where you're supposed to dodge mechanics and have abilities that you fire off when you successfully dodge and so on and so forth, is very similar to PoE in terms of just the general gameplay. There are specific elements that are better in some versus the other, but it's largely transferable. You know, move while casting your abilities and do what you can. And if he's, top 20 in Diablo, he shouldn't be making these rookie-ass mistakes in PoE.
lacks the basic understanding of ARPG fundamentals. So how the fuck could he be one of the top Diablo players and be this clueless for Path of Exile? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't compute.
His settings on the map transparency are turned on by default.
I don't fault him for this. I also use the default just because I don't bother going to futz with it. But that's why I'm not, a super top hardcore gamer. You can futz it down to like it just shows the walls and nothing else, or you can show it so it shows landmarks, and you can change the opacity and all of that. Now, I don't know who Ben is, but clearly Ben has it so that it's at the minimum transparency where you can still see the outline of the walls. Elon has it on full opacity. I also technically have mine on full opacity, which we'll show here. Let's close my inventory. So like you see on the screen, it shows like, okay, well I can like, ignore a Juani here and just, I can go over this way. And like it shows where the land features are so you can see where you're going to get stuck. And then I have like a space over here. I could put decorations in. I have not decorated my hideout. But as you can see, I have decorations. Like I can change the way the well is. I can put some animals in there. I can put some like straw down, so on and so forth. Challenge reward totems are unavailable in PoE 2. But like I have like Theridon gear. I can't summon my fire frog pet. But I can put some like trees and bushes. So on and so forth. So like I have mine on a higher opacity because I like to be able to see the landmarks because it helps me navigate in the game. So I don't fully fault him for having the high opacity on this one.
His life values are turned on. All these.
So I don't fault him for that. I don't have mine on because it's not important to see the actual number. It's important to see the percentage, which the globe is just fine for. Move me out of the way so you can see the globe. So like, I know because my life flask heals me for 1400. I know I need to pop my life flask when I'm about half life. So when I'm about half life, that means I'm at 1200 and the flask can recover me 1200. It can actually recover me close to 1400, but so when this globe is half empty, that's when I pop my life flask. I don't need the number. Alright, back to the video.
Basic settings that anyone in the top 100 would do, he is not doing. Maps can effectively have different content on them, and that content will be signified by icons on the map. So it could be a map which has an expedition in it, a breach in it, or it could be corrupted. Elon starts looking through the atlas, and he finds a map with, I kid you not, 4 things on it.
We talked about this earlier. I want to know what this green thing is. He did not mention it in his thing. I want to know what the green thing is.
4 things there. So this one has a real risk of dying.
4 things. What are those things?
God, dude. 4 things. It's 4 things, dude.
You can't just write this off as him being lazy and...
Again, well, just to reiterate the point, which is going to make this video much longer, but whatever, I don't really care. It's going on YouTube. So this is where I am. The green ones are ones I've cleared. So we have Corrupted, we have Map Boss and Expedition. Corrupted Expedition, Ritual and Corrupted, Map Boss, Expedition, Corrupted. I think I need to eventually work my way over here. Don't know how, but I'll figure that out later. Expedition, Map Boss, Breach, way up here in the corner. Breach. So I don't know, but they're not telling me what the green thing is. That's what I want to know.
Trying to put it in layman's terms, because this stream of him flexing his Path of Exile 2 achievements isn't made for, you know, your uncle or something who's a big Elon meat swallower. This is, like, specifically catered to gamers. So it makes no sense that he would just write that off as just 4 things, and also his settings make no sense for someone in the top 100. No loot filter and all the basics still on. That's how I play, and I am nowhere near a top...
So I also play with no loot filter because I'm just starting into maps and I don't need it. And if I had a loot filter, it would hide a lot of the leveling gear because that's what I'm doing is I'm leveling a bunch of different stuff through the campaign. But I also like the opacity because it's landmarks and I'm not familiar with enough with the maps to know this is where this thing is going to be. How do I get there? That's why I like the landmarks. And then, again, the health globe is not important if you know what your life values are.
Player in Path of Exile 2 at all. It doesn't work. That excuse of him just being lazy, it doesn't work. He could not achieve what he has in Path of Exile 2 with these settings and the way he approaches the game. It's clearly just not him that has got the character to this point. He doesn't know what those...
Now, he's about to highlight something that is very important, which we will get to in just a moment. And that is that Elon doesn't understand what actually makes things difficult, which is why I went over map mods at the start of recording this video.
4 things are, which is why he calls it that.
He then goes on to say, oh, kid you.
This is max difficulty on hardcore. If there's a way to get higher difficulty, I don't know what it is, but this is everything maxed out.
Path of Exile has boss fights and end-game bosses, which are, quote-unquote, difficult.
So, the boss he is fighting, which is Zesht We That Are One, is the Breach boss. He's the pinnacle Breach boss. He's the one that drops the Hand of Wisdom in action that Elon is using for his build. Now, obviously you can trade for that, like using in-game currency, and that's fine and dandy. But Elon did not do that. He probably bought that with real money, and we will see that in just a moment.
Battles, which Elon actually did do in one of his streams, where he just went into the in-game boss and died repeatedly to it. Mapped.
So he starts panic rolling. Let's go over this frame by frame here. So this is when he's in the boss. So this is a small AoE. You can walk out of this before it explodes. There's nothing wrong with that. So he panic rolls out of the AoE. Come on.
Maps are just farming.
Let's just do this.
Which Elon actually did do in one of his streams, where he just went.
So that's a lightning cloud AoE. It's not very damaging if you have good lightning resistance. So he freaks out and double dodge rolls out of that. Now dodge roll in PoE 2 works in a way that you will cover the same distance that you would if you walked in the same amount of time, but it's front loaded so that you get more movement and an iframe at the start of the dodge, and then you slow down as you go through it and come out of it.
Into the in-game boss and died repeatedly.
So, as you see, he freaked out over the lightning, dodge rolled over here. The boss came over there and smacked him with the sword, which did basically no damage because he's in full energy shield mode. We're going to move my camera off the screen for a minute just so it's fully visible. As you can see, he's full energy shield.
To it. Maps.
Then, because he put the sword in the fire AoE, it exploded and broke the sword, and then he also took a giant fire blast to the face by dodge rolling into the fire blast.
Are just farming. You go into maps and you farm them for loot and experience. They're not the most difficult battles, and I don't know if he's trying to deceive people watching the stream into thinking that he...
Alright, let's scroll back like 3 seconds. So there's the first death.
Battles, and I don't know if he's trying to...
The second death, he dodges the lightning into the fire AoE and then gets blasted in the face again.
Deceive people.
Now here's the other thing. He also apparently hit F1 to bring up his frame rate counter. So his ping is 20 milliseconds. That's 0.2 of a second. Actually, no, I think it's even less than that. It's basically like a Twitch reflex latency. But he dodge rolled into the fire orb, which is going to do damage. And then he also took a fire blast to the face because he didn't dodge in the right time frame. Now, I am not an expert on this boss. I've never fought this boss. But even I can tell that he was... We're going to go back
Watching.
a couple of frames here to when he dodge rolled into the fire. So you can clearly tell this boss has fire energy building up in his hands. That means there's going to be a fire attack.
People watching a stream.
And that's what happened. He took the fire attack into the fire orb and took double damage. You should not be doing that.
Farm them for loot and experience.
So he just got beat up
the most difficult battles and
by
I don't know
the
if he's
sword.
trying to deceive people.
And you can see that the boss is charging. So when the boss projects forward is when the ability is going to come, and that's when you're supposed to dodge.
People watching a stream into thinking that.
Now, if he had done that properly, he would have dodged based on the way that orb exploded into this corner down here on the circle instead of in the middle where he got blown up.
Thinking that he's doing some insanely hard thing whenever he's literally doing something you do to effectively grind or farm.
Listening to Elon talk about Path of Exile 2 is like listening to the out-of-touch writers in CSI, where they'd have things like, yeah, I have all the top scores in every MMORPG ever. I am elite noob slayer. Like, when they try and relate to gamers, that's...
Oh, God. I know the episode he's talking about. Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
Elon with Path of Exile 2. It's such a weird thing to lie about, because this isn't a cool thing to anyone that's not already playing Path of Exile 2, but anyone who plays the game would immediately recognize he's just making shit up and doesn't actually know what he's doing or saying. And it's just classic Elon. This is a max difficulty Turbo XL Super Arcade. In fact, I'm the only one that's...
Yeah, but like I said, it's all obvious bullshit. Thank you for your time, Mr. Moist Critical Charlie. That was all we needed from you. With that, I will stop the recording part of this video, and we'll go do the actual live stream and play